So welcome to Flowing Flexibility. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to start off with some easy body joint openers to kind of kick things off, and then we'll go into some dynamic flows, some pretty simple ones today. If you want to make sure that you have some sort of like an elevated device. A yoga block works, foam roller usually works, something that's going to help elevate you in some of these poses. If it ever gets a little too intense, the main rule is elevate the exercise in some way that is stable and secure. I'll kind of guide you through that as we go through this, but for now, let's go and kick things off. Laying on your back with your feet on a surface that's somewhat slippery is the best, but if you're on a carpet, you should be totally fine. We're going to start off laying on the back with the knees bent with no props in the way. We're going to be doing leg swings to start out. So arms are down to the floor, and what I want you to do is just really take a moment in stillness to just kind of feel your spine and give yourself about 3 deep breaths to relax the shoulders, the jaw, the neck, the lower spine, and all of the muscles deep into the hip socket. Give yourself a breath or two, and then as you feel like you're ready to, just go and let the knees drop to one side. And then start to let them drop from one side to the other side. So what we're going to be working into is kind of like a pendular swing. So I want to really feel like this is all about the bones, not so much about the muscles. So as the bones drop, you can start to feel all the other body parts that move along with the knees, obviously your hips, but then also your lower back. Can you feel your lower back? Before we graduate this exercise, can you start to really let the bones of the low back just go with the flow and not tense out? If you're like me and you've got a really tight low back, sometimes the muscles will hit that end range of motion and they'll kind of try to protect themselves. They'll kind of hold on for a little bit and then release. Try to get past that. So if you need to go softer, go ahead. And then if you feel like you're ready to progress it, take that leg, the top leg, every time that you go down, just let the toe kind of graze the floor, however big you want to. And then you're just drawing circles with your toe. And then of course you can graduate this into a full leg swing. Making sure every single time that you come back to your center with both sides of your pelvis on the floor. So the weight of the knees drop and it carries the leg weight to the side. And then the challenge becomes, can you let as little musculature become a part of this as possible? So to begin the class, it's all about just releasing and feeling the bones kind of move independently. And then of course you could take this a little bit more dynamic if you feel like you're ready for it and really let it swing. And you can feel the shoulders kind of get in on it. Because one of the next places we're going to go to is going to be the shoulder girdle in a very similar way. So go about 1 or 2 more times. If you want to keep on doing it, go ahead. I'm just going to kind of keep us moving forward to pace the class. And then the next time that your legs fall to the side that you want to start on, go ahead and stop there and hold the twist. So I take my hand to the outside of the knee and let the arm weight. I'm not pulling, but I'm letting my arm weight just drop. This is all about gravity. Then to increase the stretch, we'll add a little dynamic to it. The back arm is going to reach way far away, like you're reaching for something. Fully opening the chest, the torso, and give yourself about 2 deep breaths right into the center of the rib cage. And as you do it, start to feel the muscles, those intercostal muscles between the ribs that love to hold on to pressure so much. See if you can let them relax in this open position. Staying on the same side, this arm that is stretching is now going to go over the top of the head. So take the leg that's holding the arm that is holding your leg, let it drop, and take the top arm over, trace a circle until you find yourself very lazily on your side, and then come back to the other way, okay? So I'm letting the arm bones, the shoulder bones, just kind of go with the flow. It's kind of as if you're laying in bed and you just want to roll over. It's that idea. Noticing any muscles in the neck, the upper spine, the shoulders that may want to get on this. The rule is, or the goal is, how lazy can you make this movement? One more little thing in this little mini series we're going to do. The next time that you come down to your side, I'd like for you to switch the arms. The bottom arm is going to go underneath your head so that you can realign your spine. And then from here, bottom knee is going to be hiked up a little bit. And then the top one, I would like for you to grab your foot and just go into a traditional quad stretch. Bend the back elbow And instead of focusing on this being about how closely can I get my heel to my butt, can you actually have it be about your kneecap driving down? So I think that there's like a button down there below my knee, and I want to push it with my kneecap. What this will do is it'll take that quad stretch and really start to pull it up into your hip flexor as well. To increase this stretch a little bit more, you can squeeze your butt. So imagine there's a walnut in between your butt cheeks. Just go and give it a crack. You'll start to feel your abdominals start to engage, but you notice that it's not like you're doing a crunch kind of engage. It's actually an elongation. You actually feel this lengthening all the way through the torso from the belly button to the kneecap. So it's a very, very active stretch. Pulling, pulling, pulling. One more little exercise as we go into this. We're going to take the knee, the bottom knee up to the chest, pull it out to the side, and then flip the leg and stretch the heel up to the ceiling. So you can grab your calf, you can grab your out foot, the outstep by your pinky toe. And then from here, just like the kneecap, I'm not thinking about trying to get my leg as high as possible. And in all possibility, your knee may not go all the way straight. That's totally fine, right? It doesn't have to be straight as long as you feel the stretch in the hamstring and the hip. But the main thing is I want you to feel like there's another button you got to push, and it's right up there. I want you to push it with your heel. So you're pushing through the back of the leg, through the heel, and that outward press becomes your stretch. Again, you'll start to feel your abdominals start to kind of pull in and support. Shouldn't have to think too hard about it. That usually kind of shows up, but utilize it for your back support. Now from here, go ahead and grab your inner thigh or your inner calf, and we're just going to lazily roll back onto your back. And if you can, go into either a straddle or bend the knees and let gravity open the knees for you. So that's your first little flow. Nice little easy one. And from here, press the feet back down to the floor and then go back to your leg swings. Remind the hips and the low back that they don't need to tense up. We just did a couple of active stretches, pretty soft ones. Remember, most of this stuff that we do is mostly meant to just kind of feel good. So if you can feel the release, it'll feel a little bit better. And then when you get to your other side, I'm going to go ahead and progress us through so we can get the other side. Find your twist, add the arm weight to that top leg. Once you feel the stretch reflex start to relax just a little bit, go ahead and add the dynamic of the reach of that arm. So you'll notice most of these stretches, these held stretches, there's always 2 lines of force in every stretch. And that's usually where the core comes in to help stabilize the joints. If you think of a stretch as only like, okay, I want to get my twist, and you're only working on one side and there's no oppositional force, it's an imbalanced stretch. You want to be able to find 2 lines of force. In this case, it's the dropping of the knee and the thigh bone versus the reach of the arm. As long as you have 2 lines of tension, the dynamic is established and it's a supported position. And then from here, take your 2 deep breaths, opening up the rib cage, feeling the intercostals, get a moment to relax. And then when you're ready, shoulder bones, take that back arm, let it float over the top, tracing a circle, and letting that bottom shoulder just kind of go with the flow. And go slow on this one. There's a lot of joint structure in there, so you don't want to piss anything off. So going slow is usually a better way of doing this. And just feeling the bone structure kind of melt into the position. It's just like when you're sleeping. Thinking soft. And not letting any muscles get in on the action and try and control things. This is not about creating shapes, it's about finding flow. And then when you find yourself onto your side that last time, go ahead and flip the arms. The bottom arm is going to go underneath so that you can rest your head. The spine is long. Knees are a little forward. From here, grab the shin and the ankle and find your quad stretch. Begin by pulling the heel up towards your butt. And then there's that button again. So your line of force is you've got all this length through the upper torso. Now you got to find that oppositional line, which is the knee driving down to try and push that button. And then to enhance the stretch just a little bit more, if you wish, go ahead and start to squeeze the butt. As you squeeze the butt, you'll start to feel the abdominals kick in, and then you've got a fully established position that is balanced. And then from there, just let the stretch sink in. And hold for about 3, maybe 4 deep breaths. And then from here, go ahead and bend the knee in towards the chest. And then flip the leg. You're going to bring the leg up, grabbing the outside of your foot or your calf. Remember, the knee doesn't have to be totally straight. As long as the heel is pressing up, trying to hit that button, you're in a good place. Again, your oppositional line of force here is the rooting of the base of the hip, kind of pulling down a little bit, but really about that heel stretching up. If you're having a hard time feeling the base of the hip, try and think about your spine getting longer. So the spine reaches long, so that sit bone, the bone that you sit on way down at the bottom of your pelvis, your ischium, is driving down, creating a hinge at the hip. And then from here, about one more breath, and you can grab onto the inside of your calf. You can even bend your knee, and we're just going to roll over onto your back and find that inner thigh stretch. So either here, or if you're good for it, you can go to a full straddle, your choice. But really, it's all about gravity doing the work for you. We're going to do that flow for about 1 minute 30 seconds, going through all of those poses on your own timing. Try to go about the pace of 1 breath per pose. If you want to, if you don't remember all the choreography, just kind of follow along. I will chirp it out for you. Go ahead and place the feet on the floor. Give yourself about 2 leg swings. Exhale on each swing. And then the third one, hold the twist, find the dynamic, reach the arm against it. Find the depth of the stretch that you achieved when we were going slow, just a little bit faster. Then take the arm overhead. Shoulder bones connect. Flip the arms. Find your quad stretch. 1 breath here, pushing the button with your kneecap. Deep breath in and flip the leg. Root the pelvis, lengthen the lower spine, press the heel, deep breath. And then open out to a center. 1 breath here. And then bring the feet back down, going for 3 again. Towards the side you're going to go. And the challenge is, as you hold this other side in your twist, reaching the arm, deep breath here. The challenge is, can you find the depth of the stretch a little bit quicker by relaxing into it, establishing the pose, flip the arm over, flip the arms at the bottom, find your quad stretch. Press the button, find the abs, squeeze the butt, deep breath in. Start to manipulate the foot all the way up, heel presses. Lower spine reaches long, deep breath in. And let it fall to your back. And then if you want to, we'll go spend a little bit of extra time. Let's go through that one more time. Feet go down to the floor, going at whatever pace feels good to you. Leg swings to begin. About a 3, 2, 1. Hold the last one. Maybe just a little bit quicker, but without forcing anything. Deep breath. Flip the arm, find your quad stretch. Flip the leg, root the pelvis. And then from here, soft, soft drop into inner thigh. Feet plant, last time through if you're following my timing. And then bring it out to your twist. Arm comes over, flip to your quad stretch. And flip the leg. And bring it all the way back. Nice little relaxing flow for you for today. And then when you're ready, slowly make your way up to seated. So that's your first flow. We are going to move on. Flow number 2. For this one, we're going to go into a pike position. Some of you know it as downward dog. Starting in quadruped position, hands right underneath your shoulders, fingertips spread so you can see the webbing in your fingers. Tuck the toes under. Try and spread your toes before we even begin. So can you feel the space between your toes? From here, shoulders are nice and strong, resisting the floor. And then from here, don't think about doing anything else except for trying to get your heels to connect to the ground. So if your heels are searching for the ground, the hips have to come up. As the heels reach their way to the floor, try to find your sits bones, just like we did in that last stretch, sits bones reaching towards the ceiling. And then start to feel the lower spine reaching, lengthening, and try and create space in your low back. Imagine space in between each of the L vertebrae. Still keeping activity through the hands. You're not collapsing into your heels. You're actually pressing, trying to create palm prints. And then last little check-in point, make sure that there's tons of space by your ears. Shoulders are down, collarbones are wide, heels are pressing, all of this. We're going to call this your pike pose. Still try to keep your toes nice and separated. This is going to help quite a bit. From here, I'd like for us to go and narrow out the stance. So we're breaking some rules here. I'd like for us to go ankle to ankle, toes to toes, and really try to find that elongation. For a lot of people, this is going to deepen the stretch a little bit. Your heels may not connect to the floor. As long as they're trying to and your toes are spread, you've got good joint structure in your feet and your ankle complex. So from here, what I want you to do is go ahead and release your right set of toes. And then from here, squeeze so the skin on the back of the knee is lifting up to the ceiling. Don't throw the leg, you're squeezing it. So it may not go as high as you want it to go. That's fine. We're trying to, don't think about anything except for both knees trying to drive apart. I'm not thinking about the height of the leg. I'm thinking about both knees like two opposing magnets trying to pull away from each other. So it's really about that open, open, open. And then from here, bring it down to your downward dog, your pike, whatever you want to call it, narrow stance. We'll try the other leg. Go ahead and release the your left toes, release them. Keep everything elongated through the shoulders, through the spine, and then start to squeeze. Skin on the back of the knee, lifting up, 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 up. Start to drive the knees apart, still trying to maintain spinal length. Is it tough? Yes. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Just try and get the knee joints away from each other as much as you can, and then start to bring it back down to your pike position. Go ahead and bring the feet back to a little bit of a wider stance, about hip or shoulder width apart, whichever one is fine for this, and then start to hinge back down into your quadruped position. Okay? Go ahead and sit back onto your heels. This is where your elevated device may come in handy, by the way. Go ahead and take your hand to your left ankle, left hand to left ankle. Then from here, I want you to reach the top arm up, and then you're going to squeeze your butt and push your hips forward just to where you feel comfortable. So little half camel kind of pose. You should feel a stretch in your hip flexors and you're really, really squeezing your butt. If that's too much arch for you, use your elevated device right beside your ankle and push up. The secret sauce of this pose is not really so much about trying to arch back, right? What we're doing is we're trying to create downward pressure into that elevated device or into your ankle, if you can manage that. So that downward push gives you that structure that you need. And then the reach can just happen easily on top of it if you need to. Go and try the other side. So either elevated device or ankle complex. Go ahead and reach and push up, 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 up. So really two things are happening. There's the downward push of the hand and there's the squeeze of the butt, right? That's going to create the stretch for you. How deep you go into it is totally up to you. So you may actually only get about this far. That's fine. That's correct. As long as the intention is there, as long as there's push and there's squeeze, you're getting a little bit of a stretch, and over time that'll start to open up. Go ahead and give yourself a moment to breathe. Come on back out. Yeah, we're going to go into a pigeon stretch now. This is not yogi pigeon. This is dancer's pigeon. We're going to lay the shins on the floor. So at this point, we're going to go onto quadruped position. Bring the right knee forward. Laying down and then go and stretch back. I'm going to tuck the toes under on the back leg and really think about driving my thigh back. So again, this is not the 90-degree like pigeon that we usually do in yoga class. We want to actually be in dancer's pigeon. So this one is going to lay a little bit more directly on the glute max. So what we want to do is have the shin bone there underneath you for support. If you need your elevated device, you can place that underneath your sits bone on the front leg, okay? Then from here, as you're driving that back thigh back, two poses. First one, I'm going to try and bring my chest forward. So there's this line of force and this line of force through the heel and the thigh bone, and the chest not coming up, but coming forward. So it's like a lion trying to press forward. The second stretch is a lot more passive. Release the toes, release the back leg, and then stretch the arms down as far as you can go. And then from here, press the arms underneath your shoulders, push yourself back up, and then tuck the toes under, bring it back to your quadruped position. We're going to try the other side, same thing. So this time my left leg is going to come forward, and then press the back thigh back. Find that dynamic. Remember, if you need to, elevate a device underneath the hip, you want to have that feel at least a little bit passive. And then you're trying to find that dynamic of line of tension. So you have the back going through the heel and the hip flexor and that thigh bone. And the front is the breastbone trying to pull forward like a lion looking over the horizon. So you want to get to that place where you can kind of roll your shoulders back a little bit. If you need to elevate your hands, you can totally do that. Again, elevated surface if you need to. Tons and tons of options here, but really it's just about establishing that line of tension. Heel and thigh bone pulling back, chest pulling forward. One more breath, and then start to release. Find the passive version of this. Going as low as you feel comfortable. One note about this pose here, you want to make sure if you have your picture frame, meaning your shoulders and your hips. So if you think about your shoulders and your hips, kind of create that rectangle, right? In your pigeon laying forward, you want to make sure that it's not broken, so that your there's no twisting in the hips, there's no twisting in the shoulders. Everything is perfectly square. So as you're in your position, that back hip is trying to come forward, and the shoulders, as you go low, are staying parallel to the floor. And then from there, you lower down as much as you feel comfortable. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all of those poses and put them into a little bit of a flow. Hands go underneath your shoulders, push the floor away, bring it all the way back up to your quadruped position. This is your home base. So the flow is going to be downward dog or pike. Bring the feet together. Lift one leg up, bring it back down. I'm just kind of showing you the choreography. Re-widen the legs. Bring it down. Whichever leg went up, that's going to be the one that you push off of for your half camel. One breath here. Bring it to your quadruped, into your pigeon. Active lion stretch. Forward, one breath here. Press the floor away. Lather, rinse, repeat. So if you don't remember all that choreography, just follow along. Remember, it's one breath per pose. Starting off, quadruped position. Active hands spreading into the floor. Tuck the toes under. And press up to your pike. Heels reaching to the floor, and then build the pose, finding length. One breath here. Narrow out your feet stance. Right leg lifts up. Skin of the knee all the way up. Skin on the back of the knee all the way up. Trying to drive the knees away. One breath here. Bring it all the way back down. Re-widen the foot stance. Hinge to your quadruped. That same leg that just lifted, you're going to go and press back into your half camel. Squeeze the butt. Push into the floor with that bottom arm. One breath here. And back to your quadruped. That same leg that lifted is now going to be your dancer's pigeon. Drive the heel back, drive the thigh bone, chest comes forward. One breath here, reaching long. And then one breath to go as far down as possible. finding a little bit more of a passive feel. Hands come under the shoulders for your quadruped. Bring it back in. Feet are about hip width apart. Let's do it again, other side. Pike position. Deep breath. Narrow your stance. Start to bring the leg up. Left leg up this time. Knees driving apart. Bring the leg back down. Widen the foot stance. Quadruped position. Same leg. Go into your half camel on the other side. So again, the leg that you lifted is the leg that you're pushing off of for that half camel. Squeeze the butt so that you're finding length in the spine, not just relaxing back into it. And then from here, bring it down, quadruped position. Knee forward, dancer's pigeon. Drive the heel on the thigh bone back, chest lifts forward. Find that oppositional line. Once you find it, give it a breath. And remember the rule, you're trying to get into the depth of each of these stretches. The same depth that we had when we were going slow. Try to get to them a little bit quicker. Relax everything, coming forward. Can you get to the depth of your stretch just a little bit sooner? This is how the dynamic helps to open up the flexibility. It teaches your body not to freak out on the way, but allows you to really, really get into that depth of stretch just a little bit sooner. It's a trust thing, and trust is the backbone of opening up flexibility. We're going to go right and left one last time. Starting off, downward dog. Here we go. So if you want to go on to a timing that feels right to you, feel free to do so. Just try to keep it about one breath per pose. Narrow the feet. Right leg lifts. One breath here. And bring it down. Widen this foot stance. Quadruped. Half camel. Quadruped, dancer's pigeon. Lion version first. Passive version second. Obviously, if you're working with the elevated device, you're probably going to have to go at a slower pace just because of the maneuvering, and that's fine. Quadruped position. Ready to go again. Pike. Heels down. Narrow the stance. Lift the left knee. Drive it apart. Remember, keep those hands active for a solid base of support so you can lengthen from there. And bring it back down. Widen your foot stance. Camel. Push and lengthen. Bring it back down. Dancer's pigeon. And let it release forward. So the sooner that you can get into the depth of each of these stretches, that's called owning the flexibility. It's a trust thing. When you feel muscles kind of tighten, let's go ahead and relax and come to a nice child's pose. Just take a second and realign the spine. So when you go into the stretch, it's usually a trust thing. There's a trust mechanism called the stretch reflex that happens. So when you go into the depth of the stretch, the muscle will it'll kind of like say, pull back a little bit. It usually means, okay, if you go any further, you might damage yourself or whatever. It's a protective mechanism that's very, very important in your structure. As we go into our dynamic flexibilities, these flows are meant to kind of get that trust, that stretch reflex to trust a little bit sooner. It's probably still going to happen, but as it starts to trust a little bit sooner and sooner, you'll be able to lengthen those muscles a little bit more, and that's what's going to open up your range of motion. Does that mean range of motion like, oh, we'll be able to go into the splits? Not necessarily. It means when you have quick changes of direction that you have in everyday life, that your body's not going to distrust and then bind up pressure. Usually that's what ends up causing those injuries. So if you have to do a quick change of direction really quickly and your muscle ends up binding against that movement, you can probably pull a muscle a little bit quicker. So this is not just for opening up flexibility and being able to do the splits and things like that, but it's for everyday life so that you actually are less prone to injury. That's exactly why we do what we do. Hey, did you enjoy class? I hope so. So if you're interested in taking more classes with me, there's tons of ways to sign up. So to get yourself into class, all you gotta do is decide if you want to do a membership or if you want to do class by class. If you want to go class by class, you just buy a 5 class pass, 10 class pass, 20 class pass, however you want, or you can opt to be a member. There are 2 types of membership. You can either be a full access member where you get access to everything, all the classes on demand anytime, plus the full video library of constantly updated classes. I record every class I do every week and you'll have access to take those classes anytime you want. We also have the video only membership, which gives you the option to have access to that full library without going to the full throttle membership. Now that's for people who might have more unpredictable schedules, or maybe the class times don't work for you. That option is available to you as well. Plus with membership, you also get access to full discounts, you get access to a lot of giveaways, tons of options with memberships. And you can choose from a huge variety of class types, from flexibility training classes like flowing flexibility, foam roll, all the way to strength conditioning, bar classes, ballotone classes, or some of the high intensity interval training like HIIT, Tabata. All that stuff is available to you. And just by having an active pass of any kind, either a membership or a class pass, you have access to an updated library of classes the whole time, whenever you want. And just by participating, you get to be a part of the rewards program, which is points that go directly towards dollars, which you can put towards free fitness gear, free classes, special events, membership payments, all kinds of stuff. So points equals dollars. You get points just simply by taking class, by being there, by showing up, by helping share on social media the things that you did with Ken Scott Fitness. Tons of ways to get points, tons of ways to spend them. Super fun, and it's super engaging as well. So I hope you like what you saw, and if you ever have any questions, you can reach out to me at ken@kenscottfitness.com. I'd love to hear from you, and hopefully I'll see you in class.